Hello, friends. How are you today? The rain sounded so beautiful, and so I thought I would sit outside and record a message. Now that I'm out here, I've realized that the inspiration that wants to come through me really blends better with the rain than the thoughts that I was contriving and organizing to speak to you. So I'm going to go with the flow. What I wanted to say today is God is still working miracles. It's been interesting to me in this crisis of the last 2 years, this great changes being wrought in our society, this concept of illness. It's been interesting to me that I haven't heard people speak of God as I would have imagined they would. I would have expected more from our leaders, whether they're in the church or in government, actually. We know that people have experienced miraculous curings and healings from cancer and all sorts of things through prayer, through miracles. I would assert to you that in this time of pandemic, in this time of fear of the virus, that God is still working miracles, that God can heal whatever physical ailment ails your body, that reliance on human cures only doesn't go far enough, that reaching inward, connecting with our divinity, and asking for hope, finding that hope in the deep well of connection with God, with your own soul, is the answer here. It's the cure to the pandemic of fear. It's the cure that brings miracles in one's life. Facing the fear of death, yet uniting with the strength of the divine of God within and moving forward anyway is how we achieve great things in life. And I would say to you that as we see this more and more, people turning towards God within, people turning towards using their own God-given discernment, their own ability to make assessments about what is in their highest good, through their inner light, through their conscience, through those subtle pulses and hints and messaging that comes through us from our very soul, that these are the tools, the strengths we rely on in such a time. And calling forth God within assists the highest good in rolling out across our society. We're facing great changes. We're facing incredible restrictions on parents and children and even the basics of going to school. There are great structural changes that we could consider. And I'm talking peacefully and on a personal level. If the structures that are being advocated to you don't work for you, then maybe it's time to change your life to create what you want, If you don't like how the school is taking care of your kids or won't let you attend a performance or whatever it is, for whatever reason, then maybe it's time to create your own. And it's interesting because I think the changes that are called for are for us to shift our very lives on a personal, individual level in alignment with your own soul. If the love within you is calling out for you to spend more time with your children, then maybe significantly changing your life to do so is what's called for. If the love within you is calling you to practice your caring or your medicine in a different way, then maybe what's called for is to make a dramatic, significant change within yourself to do so. I often think about how amazing changes have occurred and how the old has slipped away with barely a notice. We're in the intensity of it now because it's affecting us so personally. In the past, these things have appeared more outside of us. The other day, I was watching a television show, and in it the phone rang. The television show had a flashback to the 1970s, and it was your typical rotary style, I was going to say cell phone tone, so different than the normal cell phone tones. And I chuckled to myself thinking, that's an old-fashioned phone. Where are those? Did you notice them go away? If you're old enough to remember. Did you experience any aches and pains while that happened? Well, some of you may still be making the transition if you're older. But the younger generation goes on with nary a care for or understanding of what that was like, right? If you're of the age where you don't remember what an older phone was like, it doesn't affect you. It faded away. Just like for our grandparents and great-grandparents, the milk delivery man faded away. He shifted his job to something else with nary a care. Nary a care. For those who had originally gotten his deliveries, they shifted to the grocery stores, they shifted to the markets, they shifted to Target, or wherever you buy your milk now, Walmart. And interestingly now it's shifting back. People all around are starting to buy product from farms again. There's starting to be deliveries from the farm that so closely recall the deliveries from your milkman, the glass bottles. I buy my milk in a store now, but I buy it in a glass bottle that I recycle back to the store. It's from a local dairy. It's not quite the milkman delivery, but it's evolved into a new way. We've gone back to it. Will these larger box stores fade away with nary a care? Will we begin to rely on each other again in community, produce what we need locally and share it together? I don't know. I don't know, but here and there I'm seeing the glimmers. I'm seeing the glimmers of hope, of what something new might look like. It's not a time in which we can predict the future very well. Why is that? It's because we're in the midst of great chaos and change, but let me tell you something. The way to survive this and end up in alignment with your highest outcomes, in my view, is to listen to that still small voice inside that's saying to make this change or make that change, no matter how hard or dramatic, because one of the most incredible, challenging, and in my experience, the thing that I've had some of the most fear over is of making those changes that God asks of me. Because what God asks of me can be so different than what I see around me, than what the masses appear to be advocating, than what my television says when I turn it on, or my mass media. And oh my gosh, when I make those changes anyway, the soul within me delights. When I let go of the fear, when I let go of my mind saying, no, everyone says to do it that way. When I let that go and say, you know what, it's gonna be okay if I follow God's guidance. And it is, and it is. I woke up this morning after spending about 3 days doing that very thing in my own home, and the delight I experienced upon waking, and the relief from having what was done now out of my life, of facing it, of taking action in a small way from everyone else's perspective, but in a very big way from mine, aligning with what my soul prompted me. It caused me this morning to awake with joy and tiredness in the doing, but with the delight and the beauty of this gorgeous rain outside, washing away what no longer serves, letting me know that I am in alignment with the divine, that all is well, and that God is working miracles, no matter how great and no matter how small they appear from the outside or to anyone else in my life. They have been amazing. They have caused me incredible awe, and they have fulfilled my life in ways that were beyond what I could imagine.